Warning! Warning! This podcast contains spoilers.
Listen at your own risk.
Welcome to Medium Shift, the podcast that investigates how stories stack up from medium to medium through the adaptation process.
What could possibly go wrong?
I hate you so much.
It's Bubsy.
Welcome to Medium Shift. I'm Chris.
What could possibly go wrong?
Oh my god, we haven't even started the... See, and he made this joke several times before we even started the episode.
What could possibly go wrong?
Everything. We're talking about the Bubsy TV show. Things have already gone horribly, horribly wrong. Yeah, no, he's making some faces right now. Oh god, that's horrifying. Almost as
What
unpleasant
could
as the show.
possibly go wrong?
We know what's possibly gone wrong. We watched the show. Everything went wrong.
It's in
Don't
my
say it.
mind. It's infested like a parasite.
So, for people who are not familiar, to preface this, considering I seem to be the only stable one in the episode right now, we are talking about the... I almost called it live action. No, that would be even worse. We are talking about the cancelled pilot for the Bubsy TV series from 1993, based on the video game of the same name, also released in the same year. Don't ask why we're doing this. Why do we do anything anymore? This is a thing that exists that you can watch on YouTube. Like, it's just like a 20-30 minute episode of a show, which, like, just thank God was not actually picked up from pilot stage. That's just available online now. But now, if you would prefer, just listen, and we'll tell you all the reasons that you should really not go and do that, because yeah, it's bad. What did you think of Bubsy? Well, how was Bubsy for you? It was good. It's good. The face you give me, think makes it very good. Yeah, this is it.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, I know.
I have heard that phrase so many times.
He says it 10 times in the episode.
Yes.
Alone. Within 20 minutes. Yep.
And then he says it every time you start up level 1 of the first game.
Yep.
Which happens a lot, because I died a lot. Because this game is terrible.
Really? Oh, you hate the game as well. Okay.
Game is a loose term, but
Wow.
we'll get into it later.
Yep, sure. So what exactly is your experience with Bubsy? So, like, you went back and played this game for this episode specifically, or...?
Well, I wouldn't say went back. I played it for this episode.
Oh, yeah, sure. But you know what I mean, like, back to an older console at the very least.
Yeah,
but...
I found an older emulator.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason, they haven't put this on the Switch SNES Online.
I can't imagine why. Especially after the critically acclaimed darling that was last year's Bubsy release.
Oh, God.
Yes, a Bubsy game was released last year.
Yep.
Which is a special piece of trivia that no one really needs to know, but exists. It's a thing. Like the franchise, so...
Yeah. So, yeah, much like the game, the TV show really did not need to exist. As I learned in my research, it was basically part of their really big marketing push by Accolade for this game and for Bubsy as a character and mascot. And that basically sums up the show. It's just, hey, look at this hip thing that we're going to push in your face.
The Prince of
Repeatedly.
Personality, he refers to himself as, which is a
Yes.
choice. Yep.
Which makes clear if you go for, like, the whole, inbred royal line that is constantly killing each other, kind of similar. Yep, I can totally see that.
Yeah, true. Yep. The original definition of royalty.
And that really, really young prince and princess, you just want to strangle. Just wrap your hands around and strangle the life.
Yep. Or just get a guillotine. Yep.
Yeah.
Preferably a guillotine. I'm a big fan of royalties meeting guillotines. As is history, honestly. Or at least French history. Yeah, but no.
But yeah, all except for the armadillo, because the
I
entire...
felt sorry for him, honestly.
So did I. Like, killing him would put him out of his misery, and Well, that seems like a luxury that I cannot afford him. He was still part of this
Yep.
curse.
He's still trapped, isn't he? Yep. Shame you couldn't get that helmet or something to just make the show not exist.
Truck.
Or metatextually kind of break out of the fiction of the show or something like that. No, that'd be way too inventive and expensive for the series, let's be real. So yeah. No, it's that
Instead,
that's fair. Yep.
Instead, Bubsy's just going to remind him of a truck again. That thing that he's clearly got PTSD about or something.
Yeah, Jesus, what a horrible friend, honestly. Traumatized him in any available opportunity.
Yep. He's hiding under the couch. Just couldn't tell him. No, this guy clearly does not want to be involved.
Yeah.
They're not friends.
Kids? You hear that, kids? Trauma is funny.
Yes.
Yep, it's a joke.
Be a bully. It's fun.
Yeah, exactly. God, he's so insufferable, isn't he? Yeah, no, I mean, look, I would somewhat echo everything you've kind of said as well. Thing is, as well, I have a weird connection to the Bubsy franchise, and then I think I've talked about it before in the Street Fighter episode, and then I got a Super Nintendo when I was, like, relatively young after playing the PlayStation at my friend's place, essentially going back a generation or two. And one of the games that we bought the Super Nintendo with was the original Bubsy. So I have actually played the original game quite a bit when I was younger. I never got any further than, like, World 2, I think it was, because, like, we didn't really like it, and we just only played it every now and then, and every time we got far enough, like, to actually get a code to progress in the game, we'd write down the code and then immediately lose the code. So we're like, oh, well, guess we'll just start again. So, yeah, which is, like, watching the show was, like, such a weird and frankly unpleasant blast from the past. I don't know, like, as you kind of noted before, this was just a whole marketing push to, at the time of, like, video game mascots, essentially, which has kind of obviously faded away since then, but, like, at the time, Sonic the Hedgehog was a huge deal, like Sonic versus Mario, so on and so forth, and the whole notion of, like, mascot platformers. And Bubsy was essentially just, another hallmark of that. What's his name? The original developer admitted, like, oh yeah, like, the inspiration from Bubsy was Sonic. Like, I just played Sonic for 16 hours a day for an entire week. And that's just how I figured out the game that I wanted to make.
And I kind of think that's very sort of a very nice visual metaphor for how these games were made and developed and how they are perceived. Because Sonic came about, it was also influenced by previous mascot in Mario, but it was based on how the developer would always play Mario, and you'd have to get to the warp pipes. But in order to do that, you always had to go through World 1, Stage 1. So he and his brother would, like, race to get the fastest times through there so they could get to the second level and get to the warp pipes and get to where they were in the game, which led to the inspiration of, oh, let's make a character that goes really fast, and that slowly bled into Sonic. So it was taking one aspect that was loved and extrapolating it and brought into something else based on developers' own experience. This game, however, Bubsy, was based on when Michael Berlin wanted to make a platformer and was asked by the higher-ups in order to convince them that he was right for this part, made him write, I think it was like a 10-page analysis after doing a full study where he basically played the game for like 10 hours a day and wrote 10 pages about why it was marketable and why it was, a good game. And then they just went with that. And so I feel that kind of, instead of going for, hey, this is something someone actively thought about while playing a game they loved, from like a small thing to, oh yeah, this is just another document based on this is what works. Focus on this. Yeah. And it felt so marketed and like overanalyzed.
Yeah, sure. Like, it's game development by committee, which is, like, not a new thing, and will probably never be a new thing as long as we suffer under the heel of capitalism. Just had to get that dig in there. But, yeah, like, Bubsy is just, it is it's essentially just indicative of such a wider trend in video games. Like the first game was like a moderate success, somewhat, because it was like it hit on the zeitgeist in that very specific way. Then there was then there was a sequel, and then Bubsy 3D, when it suddenly, big surprise, followed the trend and became like a 3D platform in the vein of Super Mario 64. And just tanked immediately. Like so many other mascot franchises just like could not make that transition. And since then there has been like 3 other Bubsy games, but like, does anyone really want to talk about those? Like they're all straight to mobile or just like throwaway ports that are just desperately clawing at whatever semblance of relevance the license ever had to begin with. Yeah, so I think in that respect it's an interesting franchise to talk about, and then it's just, I don't think it's especially good, but I do think it is like kind of indicative of it captures a moment in like so much of like video games, like especially the first 3 games, which I think is like interesting as a historical artifact. And like this TV show is an extension of that, like an animated Saturday morning cartoon like based on like a lovable, marketable character. Like, I mean, come on. That like hits so many hallmarks, especially of that era, like around Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and like Batman the Animated Series as well was on the air at the same time, which is crazy. I can't even think about those two in the same thought bubble. Yeah, but no, I just think in that sense it is interesting, even if it is bad and like a product of its time, and no one should there's no real reason to revisit it outside of a historical context. So,
or to point and laugh.
Yes, very much that too, which we did a lot of when I wasn't gouging my eyes out from watching the show. So,
although I will admit, knowing the story of the 3D Bubsy game, Forbidden
Planet or something like that.
Yeah, Forbidden Planet. They had 2 puns in the name. That's why I was getting confused.
Oh yeah, good.
Yeah. Just the story of that is so sad. It's kind of hard to laugh, but also like it makes it more funny.
Yeah, it's rough. Like it's a tragic. Well, I don't want to say tragedy is perhaps the right word, but it's such like a trope or like a rote story in video games, though, isn't it? And like kind of a bleak, sad way. While also being somewhat entertaining in that, let's be real. This is not like a Mario or something like that just eventually went off the rails, and now people look back on like with a weird nostalgic lens. Like, this is Bubsy we're talking about.
Yeah, but for those who don't know the story and why it is so terribly sad, basically, the first game came out, had its moderate success, and then they kicked off Berlin and most of the original developers for the sequels, which he watched and hated because they were terrible. Like,
yeah, we should also point out they hated the TV show as well.
Yes,
like the development team behind the game like despised the fact that this thing even existed. Hell, most of the people who worked on it despised the fact that it even existed. The voice actor for Bubsy outright came and said, "Yeah, this I hated, and I really wish I wasn't involved." So, but yeah, no, sorry. Anyway, tangent.
Yes, and anyway, they finally brought him back, and he said, "You know what? If I'm coming back, we're doing a 3D platform, and we're pushing the hardware as we can." And they said, fine. And so they created this beta version to show at E3, and at the exact same E3 was when Nintendo first mentioned and first released the aspects for Super Mario 64, which they had been working on in secret the entire time. And Berlin just went, "We can't compete with that. We need to step back and like look at this thing from bare bones again to build it up into something new." And Accolade just went, "Nope, you're gone. We've put too much money into this. Put it out as it is." So the beta basically became the main game and crushed them. And it wasn't necessarily Super Mario that was the killing blow in it. It was more a later game that came out just before in Crash Bandicoot from that little known studio, Naughty Dog.
Yep. They're not around. They're not doing anything interesting anymore, obviously.
No, but they got their start thanks to a bit of help on their first game from Michael Berlin. So if he hadn't helped, they may not have been a studio, and they may not have killed Bubsy entirely.
Yep.
Although it's a lot to put on that one studio because there was a lot of terrible decisions along the line.
Yeah, I was about to say Bubsy was going to die one way or another, which, you know, we can celebrate at the very least. But there is like an amusing and sad bittersweet tragedy, the fact that it was killed by not one, but two different mascot 3D platformers, one of which, yeah, as you say, like the designer was basically involved with too, which is, oh, that's rough, buddy. But at the same time, it's Bubsy, so it's like, once again, it's tragedy, but it's like tragedy tinged with like a mire of comedy, especially in hindsight. Like, I'm sure at the time as well, like, obviously this is everything in game development, like people lost their jobs and everything like that, and I'm sure the marketing execs who pushed it out just got a bonus and went on to the next thing, but, you know, even so, it's kind of wild to see.
So there is a reason why we're talking about all of the games in the franchise, even though the TV show only came out a few months after the first game.
Yep.
And that's because they're all part of the same franchise. And weirdly enough, the TV show kind of, I want to say, tainted the sequels.
Yeah, tainted is probably the right description, let's be real. So, yeah, essentially a number of the characters from the TV show ended up appearing in, like, several of the sequels.
Yeah. The nephews and the armadillo, whose name I've already forgotten.
Yep.
It's like Alfred or Johnson or
we can just refer to him
something
as the armadillo.
racist.
Let's be real, that's about as much thought as, like, you
Yeah.
know, they put into this show, so.
Yes. But yeah, they appear in the second Bubsy, whose name I've also forgotten, but just assume it's some variety of cat puns and sci-fi elements.
Yep.
And unfortunately no references to Taco Bell.
Yep. That's a real tragedy. Yeah. I would have loved that to have been a long-running partnership. They deserve each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, for people who are not familiar, the TV show was sponsored by Taco Bell. Like, that's Taco Bell reportedly is like one of the main reasons that this even got off the ground in the first place. Like, they just threw up most of the money for it, which honestly doesn't surprise me. So, and that's saying
it also
something
does
considering
not
the show
surprise
is super cheap. Yeah.
But it does also not surprise me that the end product has almost no actual mentions of Taco Bell. Because I wouldn't be surprised if they, after putting up the money, just went, we'll accept our losses and back the fuck out.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want to be affiliated with that.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Yeah, no, real shame.
And that's
At this point
ignoring
of
all
the
the general ickiness and capitalistic tendencies of promoting a fast food franchise as a key concept in a kids' TV show.
Yep. Once again, capitalism go brr.
Yeah.
Yep. They'll appeal to the kids as much as they possibly can. I'd say the 90s did a different time, but no, a lot of that still happens today. So, yeah, it is a weird kind of connection this TV show has with the series, because outside of Bubsy, nothing from the original game, like in the premise or the other characters or anything like that, shows up in the series. People are not familiar, like the original game, which is like the tagline is what. Close Encounters of the Third Kind or something.
Close Encounters of the Third.
Yeah, that's right. 2 puns as well. Yeah.
Always got to have 2 puns.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, so it's the premise of the game essentially is that a bunch of aliens called Woolies, for some reason, come down and steal the Earth's supply of wool. And Bubsy, being a bobcat who apparently likes wool, had the most wool, so now he's going out to get all of his wool back by jumping on some alien bugs, like rabbit thingies. I don't even know how you describe them. And then just, yeah, progressing from one level to the next. The collectibles are balls of wool, which are like truly exciting when you compare them to the rings and coins of other franchises. But like none of that shows up in the TV show at all. Like they just completely go about the other way. Like in many respects, like it's just they literally took the premise and the idea of the character and then just did whatever the hell they wanted with it. Like the only other major carryover aspect, which have you already noted is slowly driving Ev mad, is his catchphrase. What can possibly go wrong? Because in the game, every time he dies, like at the beginning of the first level, Bubsy says, "What can possibly go wrong?" Which reportedly was actually an inside joke with the studio. Like the production of the game was quite troubled to the point where every single time, like, you know, something good happened or they were progressing along, someone would say, "What could possibly go wrong?" And then something would go wrong. So, they ended up putting into the game and becoming his catchphrase, which in like a weird, twisted way kind of fits for Bubsy just a little bit. Like the fact that his catchphrase comes from bad, like rough production in studio management, I think is sadistically appropriate.
And then, of course, it became a bit of a more self-fulfilling prophecy in which it basically drove the next studio to take on the Bubsy role. The ones who did Bubsy 3 basically went insane because of his catchphrases, which they kept sarcastically saying to each other, and there were reports that they would hang Bubsy dolls from the ceiling. There was a Bubsy doll with a pen driven through its head on one of the developers' desks.
Yep, that tracks.
And they all hated him.
Yep. They didn't have a Bubsy crucifix or anything like that. Not that I saw anyway,
No.
but like that'd be so
I think the lynching is enough.
Yeah, look, fair, good point. That's still pretty brutal as is, so... yeah, you were not the first to be driven mad.
No.
Especially after watching this TV show, so... Yeah, I mean, that's, like, the connection between the TV series and the game is, like, tenuous at best. Like, it literally is just an advertisement for each other. And Taco Bell. except without Taco Bell references, so... Yeah.
Yeah. Instead,
look,
it's just weirdly set in the, like, south...
The desert?
It's sort of like the mid-south America.
I got, like, Las Vegas vibes from it, honestly.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. What is that, Nevada? I don't know the states.
Yes, Nevada.
Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, which is like, sure, why not? Like, maybe bobcats are native to that area. Like, he's Bubsy the bobcat, but I like...
No, I think it's just because of the Taco Bell.
Oh, okay. Yeah, wow. The influence was that strong. Where are bobcats native to? I don't think...
Question.
I mean, like, plumbers aren't native to Italy, so... that doesn't necessarily have to be a connection, but...
Yep, but I mean,
I'm like,
you have plumbers, and Italy is a thing.
Yeah, true. That's true. I don't know why that's a significant example, but I'm just slowly reconciling with the fact that Bubsy is a bobcat, but, like, never did really anything with it. I mean, like, neither does Sonic.
It didn't make a whole lot of sense anyway. I mean, his
exactly.
one ability was that he could glide. The one thing bobcats are notoriously bad at. Given they're basically just bigger, fatter cats.
You've never seen a gliding bobcat at sunset? They're so majestic. They blot out the sun because they're so fat, but they can also glide.
Oh, God.
Yep. Yeah,
Yes.
Makes total sense. I mean, like...
In their big punctuation t-shirts.
Oh, yeah,
And-
exactly. Oh, that's right. His design, like the exclamation mark on his t-shirt, is also from the original game and in the TV series. Because it's like, it has a personality, I guess? Prince of Personality, there you go. Only someone who would call himself that would also wear a t-shirt with a giant exclamation mark on it, so...
I think the original idea was they wanted some way to, like, track his health.
Oh,
in the
really?
thing. But that fell away when basically anything you touched just killed you immediately.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So that went out the wayside, and they were originally going to give him pants, but Michael Berlin envisioned him as a Donald Duck type character.
Okay, yeah, good.
So they lost the pants but kept the shirt. That just became a static red exclamation mark. And then that just, that's a character that...
Yep, went from there. So much personality, truly. You know, what could possibly go wrong?
I'm okay.
What I find so weird for the show as well is that they give Bubsy a lisp. Like, the main character of a show, like, I mean, like, sure, representation, I guess, but also, I don't know, I thought that was a weird creative choice. Like, well, we should probably not critique all the creative choices in the TV series, because there's just too much of it. It was clearly very cheap. Like, the animation is, like, really stilted. It's missing frames. They have inserts for jokes, but they're all live action. Like, they don't animate any of them. They just have, like, there's a random shot when they just cut to, like, a bull, like, charging at someone and stuff like that. It's just, yeah.
I will admit, I was actually just about to say, if there's anything we can praise, I think there was good potential in the idea of every time he was boasting, it cut to, like, old stock footage to sort of slightly represent that. I thought there was something they could do with it. They didn't do anything with it.
No.
It wasn't good.
Not. Yeah.
But a very small kernel of what was potentially a joke can actually be found in this TV pilot.
God, imagine that. There being a joke in a Saturday morning cartoon aimed at kids to make them laugh. Impossible. Yep. Jokes and Bubsy don't mix. Jokes have personality. Wait, no, jokes don't. I meant to say jokes don't have personality because Bubsy has all the personality, but anyway, I'm ruining that one.
But it still somehow works.
It's still, yeah. It makes just as much sense as this show, so, or this episode.
Well, and this franchise in total. I mean, the second level is about, also begins with the line, I don't like heights. Bubsy, that's your one thing. You float. You float in the sky quite high and you jump. Heights is your only thing you're good at.
If anything, he should enjoy the heights because he can survive in a way that no one else can because he can float like every good bobcat can, obviously. Yeah.
I'd put survive in big quotation marks because this is one of the few platformers where you have fall damage.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
Sorry, I'm about to just now move from ranting about the TV show to ranting about the game.
What I find so weird about the game is that I played it at an age where I couldn't really comprehend when something was good or bad. It just was. Like, you know, that time before you have, like, critical thinking, before you have that horrible revelatory moment when you watch something and you say, I don't like this. And that's a thing? Yeah.
That like little part of your life that is basically what keeps Adam Sandler in business.
Yep, exactly. Lack of critical thinking, essentially.
Yeah.
Yep, it's the sole reason he still has a career. He does good stuff, just not any of his movies, unfortunately. Yeah, people just say Uncut Gems.
Anytime he's been not funny, he's really good.
Yep, that is true. Every time comedian Adam Sandler does not play a comedian or is not in a comedy, he's very good. Yep. I think that tells you something. Just maybe a little bit, yeah.
I will say,
in the Meyerowitz stories as well.
And I do have a soft spot for The Wedding Singer, I will admit.
Never seen it, actually.
It's a nice little rom-com, and it's got Billy Idol cameoing in it.
Yeah, sure,
and
that'll do it.
Very 80s.
I have seen Billy Madison, but I wasn't a big fan of it, honestly, and people keep telling me it's like one of his better ones, which, if that's the case, then that's saying something.
Have we just settled on the fact that live-action Bubsy is
Bubsy...
just Adam Sandler?
Oh, God. There's our do it differently right there.
Yeah.
A live-action Bubsy series played by Adam Sandler. Not voiced by Adam Sandler. Played by Adam Sandler. As in, like...
Someone else voices him?
In a giant mascot outfit, essentially. I would
No. It's just Adam Sandler. Everyone just refers to him as Bobcat, but it's just him. No costume, nothing. Just, he's there.
Okay, yeah, good. And everyone just refers to him as Bubsy.
Yep.
It's great. There we go. Problem solved. Crap. What were we talking about before our Adam Sandler tangent? I don't know. Bubsy is the Adam Sandler of video game mascots?
I guess.
That kind of works. Yeah, no, but Adam Sandler's successful.
Yeah.
It's a very, very key difference.
We can go back to me ranting about the game.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
no, that's right. We were talking about like a lack of critical thinking.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, I played this game before I had any concept of what a bad game necessarily was. So, like, I thought it was fine. And there was a point where you get to ride on a roller coaster and in some water. I'm like, that's cool. There's a cat in some water. Haha. And then I eventually bet a level, and I'm like, whoa, I'm good at something. Great. Anyway, I'm going to play Street Fighter some more. That was basically, that was my experience with that game. I played The Lion King more than I did Bubsy.
Ooh.
I know, yeah. I never got any further than level 3 in The Lion King either. That's the one where
notorious.
they're like when they're throwing you around like all the animals and all that jazz. By God, I legitimately thought the game was broken when I was a kid. Like, I thought, oh, this must be the game. I just can't get past this point anymore. I just didn't know there were any other levels, so, yeah.
Yeah, no, you say that, like, it is notorious for being one of the hardest and frustrating games, but I still would rather play The Lion King over Bubsy.
Lion King is very pretty.
Yes,
like,
it is.
It's a good-looking game. Like, you can even tell with the remasters that just came out with Aladdin as well, which I also played. Aladdin was very good.
Aladdin is very good.
Aladdin was quite good. The Super Nintendo version, at least. I can't speak to the Genesis. But, yeah. No. We're talking about everything but Bubsy. I think that means we've ran out of things to say about it, honestly.
Oh, no, I can keep ranting.
Oh, God.
Like, seriously. there's clearly the inspiration from Sonic in the fact that he picks up momentum and runs fast.
Yep.
Which works great for Sonic when you can turn into a spiky ball and run through your enemies. It
Running
doesn't
at
work when
the
you have...
speed of sound.
Yeah, it doesn't work when you have Mario's fragility, in which you just die as soon as you hit anything, or a wall.
Imagine if it was a mechanic in Sonic, if you hit a wall or something, you would die. Like, there was... What do you call that? Not collateral damage, contact damage or something. I don't know. But basically, if you built up too much momentum and just, like, hit an object or something like that, that's it. You're done.
That's basically what happens in Bubsy. There was one point where I was running and I hit a wall, and luckily I didn't die with the wall. It's just falling like a little too far that kills you.
Yeah.
But with the wall, it just knocks you down. You lose all speed. You're basically on the ground for like 5 seconds before you get up and can actually do anything again.
Yeah, it's pretty belabored, isn't it? It only just occurred to me how weird it is for a game which allows you to glide to have fall damage. Like, why? Is it like a disincentive? Is it like an incentive to always be gliding? But, like, if you're playing the game properly, like, the game should be based around that mechanic as is. Like, it feels like... I don't know. That's an
It all should be
weird and
very
arbitrary
clear
choice.
that gliding is a thing, and unlike me, who spent the entire first 10 lives in the first level dying because I couldn't work out how to glide. Because to me, all the buttons just seem to be jump. But however, if you pick the top specific buttons, they are the exact same jumping motion, but you can glide at the end of it.
Oh, interesting. I played the game back in the day, and I don't think I even knew that. So I didn't know.
Leaves me with the interesting question of why is there a jump button without a glide? If it's the exact same as the jump button, but if you hold it, there is a glide.
That's a very good point. I have no memory of ever gliding in the original game. I didn't realize that was a mechanic until I was doing research for this. So maybe I never did learn that as well, honestly. It wasn't only critical thinking I lacked back then.
Did you also find out
ability to glide.
that you could be launched from the little sewer cap?
Yes.
Which was first thing. And then I found out you can jump through, and I was like, fine. And then I found out, to my confusion, you can also be killed by it.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, and sometimes the shortcuts just aren't shortcuts, and they just send you right back to the start of the game again.
Yeah, there's a reason that, like, I never got very far in Bubsy, because I just... The level layouts are really crazy, honestly. Like, I just spent so much time just going back and forth and up and down and so on. Yep. Like, I enjoy that verticality at the very least, but it, like... For little old me, like, 8-year-old Chris, he didn't know what he was doing. There was just water pipes going everywhere. What are they? Like, the logs, but, like, the water that, like, flows through them. Yeah.
They're log flume rides.
Yeah, log flume, that's right. Yeah.
But at least with log flume rides, there's sort of at least some fun to be had with them. And you don't immediately get forced into one if you get within 50 feet of it.
That's true. I mean, theme parks would be a very, very different war game if the moment you, like, walk within a certain radius. All right, you're going on the loom right now. You cannot escape. They specifically put one, like, near the entrance and the exit or something. So just, you can just never leave. Yeah.
Yep. And it occasionally
the
just splits off.
Yep.
And you have no real control over that.
Yeah, and you never see the friend that was also on the ride with you ever again. Like, they're just gone somewhere else now. Yeah.
One of them's back at the entrance. One's at the exit at the very end of the park.
Yep.
Someone else is now trapped in a car because you try to kill it, like, by jumping on it like everything else in the level, but nope.
Yep. Nope. Bad idea. Yeah.
Car just kills you.
There is even a roller coaster in one of the later levels of Bubsy. Perhaps World 2 or something like that. I can't remember specifically, but yeah. There you go. Bubsy is confirmed. Adam Sandler, the Adam Sandler of video game mascots, and a bad theme park. I mean, at the end of the day, video games all not theme parks, if you really think about it. Smoke a cigarette. I went to do the motion, and then I realized no one's going to be able to see it, so I had to say what I was doing. I went just to the end of the day, like all games, just theme parks, man. You just go around in circles and everything's designed for you. It's crazy, man. We're just on a long ride of life.
This franchise has driven us insane.
Let's finish this. I didn't expect us to talk about Bubsy for this long. Do you have any final thoughts, or should we move it to do it differently?
What could possibly go wrong?
Is that a final thought?
That's the only thought I have left now.
Okay, let's do it differently.
Jingle, jingle, jingle.
What could possibly go wrong? All right. Do you want to go first, or shall I?
Sure. My do it differently is don't. Don't do
Right.
it.
Yep.
I will admit, though, I was a fan when you brought up the idea of sort of the metatextual armadillo wish.
Yep.
That this entire thing became super metatextual. And it was just Bubsy. Bubsy tries to sell Bubsy the TV series and fails.
Yep. Pull the Lego movie, basically, and Bubsy the TV show. I think that'd be really fun. Yeah.
And also, like, not even Lego, just almost like adaptation with Nicolas Cage. So yeah, Nicolas Cage voicing Bubsy, trying to sell Bubsy the game. And there's there's Bubsy the bobcat with personality, the great outsider, and then the real introspective, anxious, shy, introverted Bubsy that no one sees in the public. And
I mean, I'd watch it, honestly. Yeah. I don't know which kid would, but I would.
Oh, this isn't for kids. This is like
Oh, we're talking hard R.
young adults.
Bubsy gets into some stuff. He's not just into wool. Believe you
Doing
me.
lines of string.
Lines of string. Yeah, good. That's very good.
His shirt changes from like an exclamation mark to a question mark to just a period.
Yeah. No, it should change like based on what he what drug he's ingested or something like that. So if he's like smoked weed or something, then it turns into a question mark. If he does like what's the name, heroin or something like that, it's 2 exclamation marks. Stuff like that. Yeah. Alcohol. Should
No,
just be a
when he does, if he does drugs in this potential TV series, it would become more like the world just becomes the game.
Oh yeah, sure.
All those weird lines, the background doesn't move. There are
Just
sneezing
floating balls
rabbits
of wool
all over
just
the
shows
place.
up everywhere. Yeah.
Yep. Cars are looking like they're from Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, good. Yep.
But then it becomes sober and the world becomes what it actually is, and it's like just a live action world, and oh my god, it is Roger Rabbit.
God damn it. You keep like it's essentially hinting at what might do it differently was going to be. Infuriated. Like, I was going to suggest a kind of, not necessarily Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but something in those lines, in that you do the same thing of, like that, or like Junior Looney Tunes Back in Action as well, in that the mascots are real characters in the real world, and then portray Bubsy as like this completely forgotten, washed up video game mascot who's just like, I don't know, selling cars just to make ends meet or something like that. And then suddenly he gets recruited into some big grand conspiracy and then has to save like Sonic and Mario from Colin Farrell pretending to be a video game exec or something like that. I hadn't figured out the exact details, but I just thought it'd be like Bubsy is like such a weird character in that like certain video game fans would like recognize it, but like not enough mainstream attention essentially, so he could be an original character in like a really weird kind of satirical, Roger Rabbit-esque movie. So
yeah, you could throw in a bunch of cameos from those other forgotten mascots of the 90s, like that one that was a star and the one that was just a glove.
Yep.
Man, the 90s were weird.
Yeah. There was such a weird... I did a couple of Wikipedia deep dives into the extent of like video game mascots, especially around this era. God, there's so many of them. And none of them went anywhere. Bubsy especially, as has been well established. So
great. So both our Do It Differentlies have just boiled down to Who Framed Roger Rabbit meets Wreck-It Ralph.
Yes.
Meets just The Wire.
Yep, good. I mean, the one inclusion I would definitely make to mine, regarding what I was originally thinking, is that I want Adam Sandler to voice Bubsy now.
Okay.
Like very, very specifically.
Yep.
Yep. That just feels like too appropriate.
And
especially
Kevin
the idea
James
of, like,
is the armadillo.
Oh yeah, no. Kevin James is playing the president of the United States again. Obviously, it's the perfect
And
role
who's
for him.
David Spade playing?
Oh. Gex the Gecko. I just racked my brain for just like, what's like a mascot that some people would recognize, like a slightly more successful one, but still like B tier, maybe
Lower
C
class,
tier. Yeah, exactly. Like he's one of his friends that like is still in the game, but like is still like, you know, like a C grade kind of celebrity. I'm like, that fits. That fits very well, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yep. Yep. You really enjoyed that. I was surprised.
I don't know if I've
That
enjoyed
response.
it or that was just the tipping point of me losing my mind.
Yeah, look, fair point. Fair point. We're definitely going to hit that stage somewhere. Wild. Oh, well, do we want to move into random recommendations and finally move away from this monstrosity that exists? Yep. What have you got to recommend us this episode?
So, look, at this point, I've just sort of... I'm still stuck on the thought of David Spade as Gex now. That sort of occupied my entire mind. What I am actually recommending is Muffin Time.
Muffin Time?
The card game based on the ASDF or ASDF movie web series.
I didn't know that they had a card game. I've watched all of those videos, but I didn't know that was a thing. Yeah, wow, okay.
Yeah, well, it's a nice little fun game, very cartoony, very slapsticky, I guess.
Sure.
If you know ASDF movies, it's basically that, but with surprisingly toned down violence, so it's a bit more family friendly. But it doesn't lose its charm in any way.
I guess ASDF wasn't all like it's not quite like it's not incredibly violent at the very least. Like the comedy generally comes from like absurdity, I guess, more than anything. Yeah. Like a lot of the ones I think about are like and wordplay. Yes, a lot of wordplay. Yeah. I mean, there is still Mind Turtle and like, you know, look out, he's got a nose and stuff like that. And someone does fall down the stairs. God, I've watched so much ASDF movie.
Yeah, and yet you're forgetting some of the classics like
Desmond.
I can't go to the prom.
Sorry, you go.
Sorry, Brian, I can't go to the prom with you. I'm a ghost. What? You're not a bang. Bye, Brian.
Oh yeah, okay, good point. That one is pretty violent.
Or,
yep.
Jimmy, take out the dog. Yes, mother. For a walk, Jimmy.
Jimmy. I personally think of the ones like the pointless button, or yeah. Hey, Jimmy, play that one by falling down the stairs. You got a boss. I love it.
Yes. Or my absolute favorite. Oh my God, Duck. Oh my God, Steve. How you doing, man?
Well, the one that I quote more than anything, I don't know why, especially in our friendship group, is Desmond the Moon Bear. How did I get here?
The end.
The end. Yep. That especially the how did I get here? Like something about like the way that line is read is just very good. I use that every now and then when I'm so confused. Like, how did I get here?
The end.
It kind of sounds like Mark Wahlberg, actually. It only just occurred to me, like, the happening Mark Wahlberg. Like, you know, the what? No. How did I get here? It's a very similar energy. Yeah. Anyway, we've gotten completely off topic again. By God, this has really ruined us. We're normally so much more focused than this.
This franchise is cursed and it's ruined us.
Yeah, let's move on. Muffin Time. Muffin Town. Tell us about Muffin Town.
Well, I've basically told you what it is. It's ASDF movie, but in a card game where you have to collect 10 and only 10 cards.
Oh. Why only 10? What happens if I collect 11 cards?
Well, then you have to get rid of cards.
Oh, okay. Right, I see. Yep. You said it so explicitly that it just sounded like a really threatening rule. Yep. Okay. Like if you immediately lose if you don't have anything other than 10 cards at the end.
No, it's just you have to basically have 10 cards at the start of your turn.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
And you win.
Yep.
That's it. That's the rule.
Neat. Yeah, fair enough. Cool. Okay. Yep. We'll have to play it next time we actually get the chance to. Thanks, COVID. We joke about that, but we can do that now. So, yeah. Hey. Sorry, rest of the world.
Suck it, America.
Yeah, and the UK and the rest of Europe.
Please continue listening to us.
Yeah, please.
Thank you.
Please subscribe. Please and thank you. Anyway, all right, yeah, completely unrelated to Muffin Town or Bubsy, because, like, I'm not gonna... What am I gonna recommend in relation to Bubsy? Like, play the game? I'm not telling you to watch the TV show. Don't go do that. I did that already. That's enough. Yeah, no, there is a film I saw recently on a streaming service that I don't like at the very least, but, is still a thing that exists. Called
Amazon or Binge?
No, neither actually. Apple TV Plus.
Ah.
Yeah, this is it was basically bought out by them, but was recently released on the service at the time of recording. Probably would have been a while by the time this comes out. But it's a film called Wolfwalkers, which is an animated film created by Cartoon Saloon, which is an animation studio in Ireland. I believe I recommended one, if not several, of their films before. They've done The Secret of Kells, The Song of the Sea, and The Breadwinner. Low-key, I think Cartoon Saloon is potentially just one of the best and most underrated animation studios working in the world right now. I think everything they've done that I've seen has just been an absolute slam dunk home run, and Wolfwalkers is absolutely another one of those. It is I don't really want to spoil much at the very least, but it generally follows a young girl and her father living in English occupied Ireland, with the father being a person who hunts down wolves. When they encounter these people called Wolfwalkers, which is based on Irish folklore, which are humans that turn into wolves when they fall asleep. It's this incredibly beautiful story that balances kind of childhood whimsy with really, really horrible childhood trauma. Almost kind of early Disney trauma in some ways. Some dark as stuff happens, but it's really fantastic. There are shades of Studio Ghibli in there as well, particularly Princess Mononoke. But it is just an incredibly beautifully animated and composed film that I feel almost anyone would be able to watch and enjoy, and just support hand-drawn animation, just so much of that is going away, and this film, more than any other hand-drawn animated film I've seen in a while, really just outlines the artistry behind that kind of craft, and I really don't think that should go away. So yeah, Wolfwalkers, huge recommend. Incredible film.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, thank you to everyone who recommended. Don't recommend this TV show ever. Recommend the podcast, though. That would be nice. Yes. We can be found at Medium Shift.
The podcast is great. The TV show is like The Ring.
We should edit in slow the haunting build up orchestral music behind you when you say that, and just let it hang for a moment, and then just stop, and then neither of us mention it and cut this whole part out. We can be found at mediumshift@gmail.com. Feel free to send us recommendations for other Saturday morning cartoons to watch, I guess. I don't know, something better than this. Feel free to review us on iTunes and whatever podcast platform you have of your choice as well. Next episode, we're, thank God, going to be doing something quite a bit better, in that we're going to be talking about Offshoot Justice League. One of many, I guess.
We're having a bevy with The Boys.
The Boys, which is one of the laddiest shows ever, especially considering it's called The Boys. Not much of a surprise, but yeah, very excited to talk about that one. That's one been a huge hit on Amazon Prime in the first 2 seasons so far. So stick around for that. So until then, fare thee well.
David Spade is Gex. Make it happen, Hollywood.